Debate. Democratic Congressman Engel and Republican Congressman DesJarlais. Thank you both for joining us. Welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you.
All right, I know that the two of you have introduced very different pieces of legislation dealing with Syria. Congressman Engel, I'll start with you. You see a positive benefit in arming some of the rebels there. How do we effectively vet them?
Well, we know that the Free Syria Army, led by General Idris, are people that are fighting for a democratic, pro-Western Syria. And it's easy to vet them. It's easy to know who they are. The problem is that they are having a big disadvantage because they just cannot get the weapons, whereas the other side, the Assad side, who's been brutal, I mean, let's look at this thing in context. There are 100,000 people that Assad, who's the leader of Syria, was the leader of Syria, murders his own people, 100,000. There are 7 million displaced Syrians within the country, and there are 2 million Syrian refugees in other places of the country, other places of the Middle East. So from a humanitarian point of view, it is important that we get involved. And from a U.S. strategic point of view, it's important that we get involved. And let me say, nobody is talking about boots on the ground or another war or anything like that. We're talking about arming the rebels, and we're giving them the tools where they can defend themselves. And I think it's in our strategic interest to do so.
Congressman DesJarlais, you think we need to put the brakes on some of what we're doing. What would you like to see happen?
Well, certainly, first of all, I don't know how we can say that it's easy to vet rebels and be assured, or that we could assure Americans that these weapons won't, in turn, be weapons that we're fighting against in the near future. And I don't know how you say that we're not getting involved when we're giving people weapons and telling them to go kill somebody else. I would say that's directly getting involved. It certainly would be in this country. If you give somebody a gun and say kill somebody, that's aiding and abetting or accessory to murder. So I don't think it's as simple as the congressman tried to describe. We have a very war-weary nation. We don't have a clear plan in Syria. The president has yet to come forth and address the nation as to why we should be arming people that we don't know that are our friends. And so I think it's a very volatile situation right now, and we need to proceed with extreme caution.
Congressman Engel, I'll give you a chance to respond to that, and I also want to see if you have comment on reports that Qatar has actually been providing shoulder-fire missiles to rebels, something the U.S. has cautioned against to this point.
Well, I don't know what Qatar is doing. I know that they have been supplying some weapons to the rebels. The point is this. Of all the bad choices, we're in a situation now where there are all bad choices. There are no good choices. Of all the bad choices, in my opinion, the worst choice is to do nothing. The worst choice will guarantee that Assad stays in power and that Hezbollah, which is a terrorist organization aligned with Assad, becomes the primary force in the Middle East. And Hezbollah is a puppet of Iran, and we are giving Iran further hegemony in the Middle East. You know, before World War II started with Neville Chamberlain, the easy thing to do was to do nothing. Sometimes doing nothing begets something much, much worse down in the distance. And I'm afraid that's the situation here. The United States has repeatedly said that we will not allow Iran to pursue a nuclear weapon. If Iran gets the upper hand, then it's the Iranians who are supplying Hezbollah, who are propping up Assad. If we allow them to get the upper hand, that's not in the strategic interest of the United States. That's something that's very, very dangerous. So from that point of view, we could be doing what we did in Libya, where we provided air cover. We could be having a no-fly zone, or we could use cruise missiles to destroy the runways. I don't know the specifics. That's up to the generals and the president to decide. But we need to do something, or else it's going to be much worse later on.
All right, I need to bring in Congressman DesJarlais for a quick final word here.
Sure. Well, I don't know how you take two bad choices and try to come up with a good choice. And the enemy of the enemy is not always our friend, and I think we've seen that again in the Middle East. And so it sounds like the enemy here is not the civil war in Syria, but we're concerned about Hezbollah and Iran. So what we need to have is a clear strategy when we're moving forward with American taxpayer money. And obviously what was just indicated is that there could easily be an escalation of this war. We send small arms now. Russians are sending missiles. Why send guns guns to a missile fight. What's next? Are we going to send tanks? Are we going to send drones? Are we going to have a no-fly zone? This needs to be debated open in front of the American people, because we have a country right now that is very mistrusting, and rightfully so, of the federal government and this administration, with all that's going on with the IRS, what went on in Benghazi. The representative mentioned Libya, and certainly what we saw there is 4 dead Americans, and if that's what our friends do to us, and we couldn't get in to even investigate the crime scene for 4 weeks. So if that's what is helping rebels is going to get for the United States, then I don't have a lot of faith in helping Syrian rebels and having any better treatment.
We got to leave it there. Gentlemen, thank you both for your time today. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Shannon.